Welcome back to the show where we explore Relativity's new file format RSMF and butcher up user interfaces. Yes, that's something we do here because I create some crazy interfaces, but they're functional. So, continuing with what we were talking about last time, I said that I'm going to contact Relativity and get some of the questions answered that I had in mind. And they got back to me and they're right here on my screen. So let me tell you what they said. So first, question number one, I had support for RSMF as far as processing versus single file upload. Single file upload will not extract any metadata. It will not extract any attachment. So single file upload is kind of useless in this situation. You have to use relativity processing to load RSMF files into Relativity. Okay, next. How do you get email and text message into one conversation? That's still in the works. They're still working on it. They either didn't want to disclose it to me or they haven't figured it out. Whichever way, they probably figured that out. They're probably just not telling me yet. Next, imaging and custom metadata. So as we've seen before, you can put custom metadata into your messages like GPS coordinates and such, and it's supposedly available when you mouse over conversation. That's something we'll test actually. And the question was, well, when you're going to produce and you want to image it and you want to show those GPS coordinates, and the answer is it will not be displayed during imaging. You cannot make it. It's just metadata, right? So you have to put it in a DAT file. Next thing I wasn't sure about is why do we have multiple conversations within the same file, and the answer is it is so we could mix text messages and Slack, for example, in one file. Again, not entirely sure if it makes sense, but fine. Then attachments that cannot be accessed by viewer, right? So remember we saw a vcard file that we couldn't get to. Well, because we used single file upload to upload a file, and that's not going to work. We need to use relativity processing to process that file, and then it will extract all the metadata and attachments. So if the picture or attachment is not visible in the viewer when you look in RSMF file, there will be a family and all those files will be attached. Next, our EML, right? So I suspect that the EML wrapper for the JSON file is for compatibility with other applications, which is exactly right. That was the plan. This way, this file format becomes compatible with software that is not specifically designed to open them. Yay, that's always good. All right, now we got that out of the way. Let's see what changes I've made to the application. Hold on to the screen. Screen's right there. Okay. I'm going to start the application, and nothing drastic changed here. Got resized a little bit on the side here. We have all the fields like before. Again, crazy amount of fields. I know. It may not make sense to everyone. Makes sense in my head. So let's load to grid. And with the power of artificial intelligence, we figured out where all the fields are. So now we have our section on the bottom here working, which is deleted and importance. Attachments worked before. And then we'll also have other fields to include. So that works. And the next thing I did is I worked on the Conversation Identifier. So this is the thing that I don't really know how to properly deal with conversations. I believe some applications, like forensic applications, when you export text messages from WhatsApp or others, they have some kind of conversation. Maybe it's for group chats. But generally, I'm not entirely clear how messages should be grouped together. So what I did is I left a field here that you can use to group it by any way you want to. All right, let me bring my desktop here, and what I'm gonna do is generate RSMF, right, without any kind of grouping. And so now you can see we got this one big file, right? It's 6 megabytes. The other way we can group it is, let's say we want each message to a separate file. Well, we can group it by ID. probably not the greatest idea, but if we want to, we could run it. And bam, right? So we have them all grouped. So let's get rid of that. Or we can group it by some other field. And so what I'm thinking is, what would make sense is to group it by like a timestamp. However, timestamp has a lot of different, has times, right? It doesn't have just a date and time. And what I think would make sense to group it by day. So we can make user make a new field called grouping field of some sort. But I figured, why not make it easier? Let's just take an existing field and ask user, okay, we're going to use this field, but we're going to take a portion of the date or time. So this is what I did here. I'm going to scroll down to timestamp, and from the drop down, I can say, okay, let's group this by year, year, month, month. So everything from the same year and the month will go into the same file. So now if I run it, you see how I have, well, everything is from 1 month. Okay, so that doesn't make too much sense. But if I choose the other option where we go year, year, month, month, day, so each day is going to go in a separate file. So there you go. So you see how we have 2 files now. So now we can load them into Relativity and, you know, have them grouped by day. But before we load this to Relativity, let's do this one more time. And I'm going to select a bunch of these metadata fields, right? Other fields. So pretend like these are GPS coordinates, I don't know, whatever they are, right? And we're gonna export them into a section called custom. I forgot what it's called, but they're custom fields that you could store. So let's do it by date, generate, okay. And so now we got these 2 files. So let's check to make sure they're actually there. Like we checked before, rename to EML, double click. Beverage for tonight is hot tea. Okay, email, all right. So we have our RSMF, zip. Within that, we have our attachments in JSON. And if we view, why does it keep going to the other screen? If we view, we can see, here we go, custom, right? Custom metadata. And now we put all the, well, all the custom metadata into basically one of those big array fields where we can just dump anything we want. Yeah, that should be on our specs over here, right? Custom. Name, value. Okay, so that is exactly what we did. So let's load that to Relativity and see how it looks there. And I'm gonna move it to the other screen. We're gonna go to Relativity, new document. I don't know why there's so many spinning thingies here. Drag and drop. Okay, so now we have our file, so we can click on it. And let's see what we get. Okay, extracted text. So extracted text is empty, so that's a known issue. We need to use processing, not single file upload. And here we go. So this is our conversation for entire day. We got our pictures. So now if we hover over event, we hovering. Okay, nothing's happening. Here, there, no. I'm pretty sure that's what it said, right? So let's just, I wanted to check my schema over here. Okay, so right here. Right, we're looking at custom properties. Value will be displayed by the viewer when user hovers over an event. And I'm hovering. Wait, that's a name. Okay, let's hover over the event. And nothing's happening. Okay, so I'm not sure what's up with that. But we have our conversation, we have our pictures. So this is looking, well, this is looking like it's everything is working except custom metadata. So I'll have to check with Relativity what's up with that. Okay, next test I wanted to do is deals with compatibility with the older systems, because I'm not going to believe anybody without testing it myself. So what I did is, on my left you see Relativity 10. This is like a developer Relativity 1, if you will. And on the right we have Relativity 9.6. So 9.6 technically does not support RSMF files. Yet what we see here is that it did process them. And on the left is the official application that's supposed to process them. So the difference we see here is Relativity 1 did not extract the manifest file, the JSON file. However, on the right, you see that the JSON file was extracted for every EML file. So what we get is our RSMF right here, JSON, and attachment. And if there's no attachment, you just get RSMF plus the JSON with all the metadata. And on the left, again, we just have our message file and any attachments that come with it. So like an example before, we would have a text message with video files and JPEG attachments. So again, JPEGs will probably show up inside the conversation. In case they don't, you can go to them as a normal attachment. And the video files, well, of course, you need to click on the attachment and they'll play there. So I'm very happy to see that RSMF is backwards compatible, though you get that JSON file, which is probably fine. You should just leave it in there if you happen to be processing this. No problem there. Well, so what do we have as a next step for this application? I feel pretty good that it works. I would say I need to test it with more of a different types of DAT files and kind of do the proper beta testing, make sure there are no issues. Aside from other fields not popping up, everything seemed to be working just fine. So I'm really happy about that. What I think I want to do now is ask you guys if anybody is interested in testing this with me. If you have access to either developer environment or Relativity 1 that support RSMF, and you want to give this a try and maybe use it with some DAT files and run it through your own data without, obviously you can't share that with me, but get experience using it and let me know if you see any issues. I think I would be up for doing that. So if you want to do that, contact me, nick@legal.com, or on my website there's a contact form. And what I think I will do is I'm going to add some kind of like a registration serial number process, so this application expires after a while, for a couple of reasons. One, I'm possibly going to be selling it. Most likely I'll be selling it. But two, I also don't want any software I have that may have bugs in it floating around. Let's say I give it away to somebody and then I fix some kind of problem, and then people are going to start using an old outdated version and it's going to produce bad load files or something, and I don't want that to happen. And of course, if you help me with testing and give me feedback, I'm sure we'll figure out a way that it's I either don't charge you full price for it or give it to you for free for a while or something like that. Yeah, I think that should be a good plan going forward. Yep, if you're interested in playing with this, doing some testing, provide me feedback, I would very much appreciate it. Contact me, website, my email, LinkedIn, I don't know, Twitter, whichever way you want to get in touch with me. And I'll be testing it myself. All right, talk to you guys later.